best friend, always, big hug.
Hello YouTubers. Well, E.T.'s not behaving very well today, but I've told him if he behaves I'll buy him some new batteries next week. Now, last time we spoke I remember talking about the many differences there have been and the advances that have been made in my lifetime in all sorts of fields, and I remember I talked about the advantages that have been made in the fields of medicine, which of course are tremendous and one of the reasons that I'm alive today. But it reminded me of another story about my childhood, and I've only been in hospital a couple of times as an adult, and as far as I remember only once as a child, and that's all shrouded in a bit of mystery. I remember being quite ill and feeling very unwell, and I remember the doctor quizzing me about all sorts of things and what had I eaten, and of course I'd eaten all sorts of things. I mean, anything that grew we ate, or really anything that moved we ate. So we would eat blackberries and all sorts of berries and plums and apples from trees and pears and sweet chestnuts, and oh yes, and we lived in an area where they grew sugar beets, so they were quite nice because they were obviously quite sweet, but covered in earth and all sorts of things. So I think the suspicion was that I'd eaten something poisonous. Anyway, I felt definitely unwell. But the point is really that what I daren't tell them and what I thought might have contributed to my illness was the fact that I'd been smoking some stuff. Well, I guess I'm still about 12 years old, I suppose, and my parents were friendly with a family who had a boy about the same age, and sometimes when they went out for their evening entertainment we were left together, and I don't think we did anything particularly naughty. We sat and listened to the radio and that sort of stuff, but if we hadn't got any cigarettes we had to find other things, and we tried dried tea leaves. Oh God, that nearly set us on fire. We tried dried chrysanthemum leaves, and we also tried a stuff called fat hen. Now, I don't know what that is, but it was a weed that grew pretty profusely around where we lived, and well, that was sort of all right. But we had been smoking this, and I thought, oh my God, if my parents find out I've been smoking at all, I'm in dead trouble, and so I didn't tell anybody about this.
Your best friend, always, big hug.
Now look, I've told you before, I won't let you on here at all if you're not going to behave better than this. You put me off what I was going to say now. So I was taken into hospital because I was obviously quite unwell, and I don't really remember much about that at all. The only memory I've got is some bright light shining on me and two people in white coats holding me down, and one said, "I think he'll be better now," and I imagine that I'd got a high fever or something, and that that fever had been broken, and I was going to be all right again. And I don't know whether the way I am now is a result of that or not, but I think it was one of these childish undiagnosed conditions, and all was well, so I never really had to admit to what I had done, and I'd got away with it again. But it was an infectious disease hospital, and infectious diseases in those early days were quite serious. The sort of childhood measles, mumps, rubella and all those things could have very serious consequences, and meningitis and tuberculosis were quite common, and I had one of our friends died of meningitis, but and the tuberculosis patients, it always struck me as rather odd that they'd got this chest infection and they thought the cure for it was fresh air, so they were sent to seaside places and they slept outside, which seemed crazy to me even at that time. But nevertheless, things have moved on very much. Haven't they? And thank goodness for that. There are wonderful things that can be done now in the fields of medicine, but I suppose it only goes to show that whilst so many things have changed and there's been so many advances, children still do silly things, and I don't think they have changed very much at all, which of course is a good thing, isn't it? Well, I'm going to play myself out with a song, and the song has been specially written for me by a friend from YouTube, and I'll play you a clip of it and I'll roll up some credits explaining it all at the end, and I'll see you all again very soon, I hope, and until then, goodbye.
If I'm a man who has seen some glory, I have gazed through the windows of time, and not even a poet make this right. So many compromises have I seen through my days.